Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. It is confirmed that the UK variant of COVID-19 spreading in Jamaica. This story takes the lead in our 1066th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 11th March 2021. Details after this break.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. The highly contagious United Kingdom variant of the coronavirus has been confirmed to be spreading in Jamaica. The development was announced by Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, at a press briefing on Monday evening. Tufton disclosed that 7 of 8 variable samples sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency CARFA in Trinidad and Tobago were confirmed to be that of the UK variant of the coronavirus. The minister said the samples were collected from those who had no prior travel history. Samples were taken from the parishes of St. Catherine, St. James, Clarendon, Trelawney, Kingston and St. Andrew. The minister said the results were received on March 6th, although they had been sent to the facility months ago for testing. The long wait has forced the government to search for options to ramp up testing for the strain. Tufton stated that the government is taking steps to establish its own testing facility for the new variants. He said the equipment required to achieve this should cost approximately 60 million Jamaican dollars. Laboratories in Florida are being eyed to help with additional testing for the variant, the minister said. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesso Mackenzie admitted that the strain could be responsible for the rapid spread of the virus. If we now have 2 strains in the country, there is a possibility that people can be reinfected with different strains, she further warned. In other news, even a single dose of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is proving effective, particularly in older people. That update from the University of Oxford collaborators on the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine against COVID-19. The university's Said Professor of Vaccinology, Sarah Gilbert, shares the findings after the rollout in diverse locations.
And we are seeing how effective it is in use, protecting 80% of hospitalizations in those aged over 80 years, even after 1 dose, and reducing disease in the over 70s by 70%.
Professor Gilbert says more work is being done to improve the vaccine's efficacy, particularly against variants, and this may include the need for a booster shot in the future.
We have more work to do on assessing the ability of the vaccine to work against different variants and whether an update to the vaccine is needed. But we are making preparations to do that if necessary. We are continuing to monitor immune responses in those vaccinated so that we can assess when a booster might be needed.
Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown says his government has plans of securing COVID-19 vaccines from China once they are approved by the National Technical Committee on Vaccines.
We're even looking for options outside of the well-known ones. The leading vaccines include AstraZeneca, Moderna, and Pfizer. We are now seeking to get some Sputnik vaccines as well as Sinopharm out of China.
Prime Minister Brown is once again appealing to the public to avail themselves of the COVID-19 jabs once it is their turn. The 4 vaccination sites are catering exclusively to people over 65 until at least Thursday.
Those vaccines have been keeping the people of China safe, and I have no doubt that they will also keep our people safe. In any case, AstraZeneca seems to be the global vaccine of choice, and we are seeking to get at least another 100,000 AstraZeneca vaccines.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Over in St. Lucia, businessman Everestus Jean-Marie is once again appealing to the UWP administration to refocus its policy attention in aiding the hemorrhaging transportation sector. His words of advice come as the price at the pump and other petroleum products remain high. Solange Alfred of HTS News Force reports.
The price of crude is going up, and that's all petroleum products will go up.
Managing Director Jean-Marie and Sons, Everestus Jean-Marie, is again sounding an alarm following the Monday, March 8th fuel price adjustment. The businessman accurately predicted the last increase in gas prices, which saw the cost of gasoline raised to a staggering $13.20 per gallon. It coincides with a recent hike on the world market, with a barrel crude surpassing $70 this week.
What the government has done now is reduce its excise tax on fuel from $4 to $3.70. So I suppose, in a sense, they have stemmed any further increases in the price of fuel, but I still think that there is need to give the minibus drivers a break, because at $13 it is a high price.
Jean-Marie has accused the current UWP government of being far removed from the actualities of everyday life in St. Lucia. He urges that policy decisions taken by the ruling party should reflect the needs of the masses.
There is need to visibly show that the government is working, and perhaps the more visible way of doing that is to do visible things like build roads and put up structures. But I mean, these things are not as important as how people get by day to day, which is they need money in their hand to buy food and to look after their families. That is a more important thing right now.
As for the languishing transportation sector that has been clamoring for a COVID-19 relief package from March 2020, Jean-Marie says another round of industrial tumult last witnessed in December 2020, where some associations withdrew their services, leaving thousands stranded, would not come as a surprise to him.
It's getting increasingly difficult. When you have to meet your everyday costs, and you cannot just abandon the business, but you're there and you're hemorrhaging cash because you have to buy fuel, and very often minibus drivers say they take very little home, and they have major expenses, insurance to meet their car, they have loans to supply, and it can become very frustrating. And I wouldn't be surprised, at some point they say, look, enough is enough.
The National Council on Public Transportation was scheduled to meet with the Minister for Transportation, Guy Joseph, recently. However, efforts to ascertain the outcome of that meeting have been unsuccessful. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
Guyana's President Irfan Ali on Sunday chided the organizers of the President's Softball Cup tournament at the Everest Cricket Club ground for flouting the COVID-19 guidelines before leaving the event prematurely. HGP's Wendell Badri reports.
And when I look around here, I must say I'm disappointed with the organizers for allowing a situation where we're exposing each other to this dangerous pandemic.
His Excellency, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Ghana, Mohamed Irfan Ali, was at the time addressing patrons in attendance of the inaugural President's Softball T20 tournament, which was held at the Everest Cricket Club ground on Sunday. Ali expressed his care and concern for those gathered at the event after lashing out at the organizers for breaching the COVID-19 guidelines.
I plead with you to please put on your mask and observe the protocols, the COVID-19 protocols. As your president, I love you and I care about you. And I cannot be in an environment like this and see you expose yourself in this manner and allow you to do it.
The President continued.
I'm going to say to the organizers, you have a responsibility. And if you can't take the responsibility seriously, then we have serious problems.
His Excellency, while continuing with his plea to patrons to mask up and maintain physical distance, asked them to think about their families and communities in relation to protecting themselves against the pandemic. He reminded that it is as a result of care and concern for each other that we could protect one another while also speaking towards nation building. Shortly after addressing the organizers as well as those in attendance, Ali reportedly left the event. He was expected to remain until the conclusion of the matches. There were at least 6 teams participating in the tournament. The matches were abandoned by the organizers shortly after the president's address, with 2 teams being declared the winners as they split the prizes. The inaugural President's Cup was organized by the Georgetown Softball Cricket League in collaboration with Ghana's honorary consul in Florida, Ramzan Roshna Ali. Just recently, 2 local disc jockeys were sentenced to community service by a city magistrate after they were ordered to clean up Durban Park as a result of flouting the COVID-19 guidelines. Meanwhile, the Georgetown Motor Racing and Sports Club was recently suspended from hosting further tournaments as it too violated the COVID-19 guidelines when it hosted a tournament on Sunday last, featuring some 3,000 patrons, while the task force initially agreed for 1,500 persons to be allowed into the venue. Wendell Badry, HGP Nightly News.
Calling all vehicle owners. Inspection and licensing continues. And at Hubbard's, we want you to be ready. From February 16th to March 31st. Registration numbers 2,501 to 5,000 with single registration letter. Or registration numbers 251 to 500 with plural registration letters will receive 11% off new torque tires and PowerMax batteries. Don't get caught unprepared. Visit us today at the Motor Department in Mount Gay or the Tire Bay in Grand Anse near to the building supplies.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.